What up, HubSpot family? We are here today with a super HubSpot admin. It is the Jessica Crosby from Lone Firm Creative. Welcome to the show today, Jessica. A pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Excited to be here and excited to talk HubSpot. It's something that I love and has been a part of my professional career for a long time. So just fun to get to connect with other people who are kind of as obsessed with it as I am, I guess I'd use that word.
Okay, on a the most important question, when you bleed, is it orange, red, or blue?
Mm, go orange.
Okay. When I bleed, HubSpot oozes out. I like this. Okay, so your level of obsession is clearly at the 11 out of 10. That's awesome. Uh, so as we're starting this, Jessica, the question, most important question of this entire time, and we're going to tell your journey about like how you became obsessed, how it captured
Yeah.
your mind. The most important question is, what are things that three things that only your mom would know about you? Maybe
Oh
your
boy.
dog or your
Mm.
cat, but like, what are three things that only your mom would know?
Oh boy. Um, Gosh, that's a tough one. Probably how intense I can, this is going to be really embarrassing, how intense I can get when I'm playing the piano and singing and writing songs. That seems really weird to share, but there we go. There it's out in the open. And
I love this. Why has it not? So I heard number one. I just heard is you're going to be the next LinkedIn famous all-star person singing about HubSpot songs. That's what I heard. Featured at Inbound 2023. What's the
yeah.
next one?
Oh boy. Next one. Hi, yi, yi. Why can I only think of like competitive things or sports for some reason? Probably
Tell
how
us, say it. Let's do it.
competitive I can be when playing sports. Used to play soccer for a long time before I tore all my ACLs four times. But there's that.
Okay.
That
Okay. I
ended
like it.
physical sports.
Uh, so
Um,
a singer, a writer, an intense one, and then a soccer player that has torn out both ACLs four times, two times, three, lots of times. And let's
yeah,
remember this.
total four times, three
Wow.
times on one knee and one time on the other. So
Okay.
very
Or
limited in my.
never give up. Or never give
Yeah.
up. And then what's the what is the last one?
Oh boy, this one. Let's go with when I'm faking being sick and when I'm actually sick.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you're really good at faking being sick, and only your mom actually knows. I like this. Okay. I hear. I like it. What is if you we'll do this? If you could have any superpower besides HubSpot, being really good at HubSpot, what would it be?
Anything in the world,
Anything
anything
in
is
the
possible.
universe,
Oh
Jessica.
boy,
Universe. Yeah.
I'd fly. I'd be able. I would want to fly.
You want to fly? You don't need
Mhm.
ACLs for flying. I like this.
No,
This is good. This is a good. It's a good point.
safe.
Okay. It's a good point. Okay. I love this. The last before we get started into talking about your journey, I think this is always a fun end state. Is what is, and you got to pick. What's your favorite hub, and then what's your favorite tool inside HubSpot? And you can only pick one. You cannot cheat
Mm.
on this. You have to pick one hub, and then you have to pick one tool.
Sales is definitely one of my favorite hubs. I think there's a strategic side to using the sales hub that I just go nuts over and love to dive in with clients. So that's definitely my favorite hub. My favorite tool is, I mean, oh gosh, I almost cheated. I'm not going to do that. Probably underrated is chat flows. I think that that's one thing that
That
people
flows.
don't utilize enough on their website. And it kind of ties into my second favorite, which would be automation. So, okay, there we go. I cheated. I'm sorry.
And we'll be clear, automation technically has two things in it. It could be workflows or sequences. So I want to say you double cheated, but that's
Okay.
okay. We'll let it slide. We'll let it
Yeah.
slide.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing chat flows, which I've never heard before. So I'm like almost
Really?
interested in without like understanding it. That means there may be a superpower here.
Mhm.
You need to share some chat flows with us on how you use it really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into not everybody just there's always a different path to like becoming and coming into HubSpot,
Yeah.
particularly because I mean HubSpot is now the number one sales and marketing tool in the world,
Mhm.
which is awesome, but it always hasn't been. And so like as we're coming these professionals, what were you doing before you found HubSpot?
Man, I feel sad to say this, but MailChimp, I mean, yeah,
Okay.
like I think before I was working in HubSpot, I had worked with a lot of, well, in some of my in-house roles, it was using tools like MailChimp, tools that were, probably a little bit more affordable in that instance. Um, and, still accomplished some of the similar functions, but obviously wasn't quite as powerful as HubSpot. And so that, I think one of my earlier roles at Skillcraft, I want to say, is kind of what jettisoned me into kind of the depths of HubSpot and largely with a focus on email and marketing email automation.
Okay, so you cut your teeth, if you would, on marketing, email automation. How did you start
Mhm.
there? Like you came out of, how did that end up as your first thing? By the way, this is gonna be a cool story because you're saying Sales Hub is my favorite, but you're starting off in non-sales stuff.
Yeah,
First off, how did you get into it? Like, is that your,
yeah,
and then we'll go into like how you found HubSpot.
yeah, for sure. So back when I was in that role, it was technically on the sales team, sales and marketing team. And so we did this, like I mentioned, Skill Crush, they did a lot with email marketing to help sell their online programs that they have. And it was all about, breaking into tech, learning HTML, CSS, design, like a lot of different tech roles. And so it was, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, a really cool platform with a really cool mission. And so my role was focused primarily on email marketing out of HubSpot. So I think we had like a CRM of over 320 or 300, 400,000 contacts. And it was a lot of segmentation, a lot of time spent like gathering user data and understanding how people were engaging with the emails and setting up automations to help segment them, create different paths based on the, maybe course that they were interested in or based on how they learned about Skill Crush and based on how they, kind of continue their journey. And so we spent a lot of time mapping out what the sales process was for somebody coming through with email marketing and how we kind of nurtured them along. And then diving into a lot of A/B testing, multivariate testing, and setting up different, like, I mean, it touches a little bit on my roots from my college education because I did a lot of like A/B or just a lot of testing within my degree. And then it was fun to be able to kind of apply that to, well, how do we, like, what is our hypothesis? Like breaking out to, I think everyone kind of has flashbacks of this from when they were in school at some point, but like breaking it into a hypothesis, breaking it into, some of the like expected outcomes and then figuring
Mm-hmm.
out, when things didn't go the way that they did, what did that actually mean? And what other insights maybe we could pull out from some of those tests that we ran with the different emails. And this was before HubSpot had any of the A/B testing in place. And so a lot of it was like exporting these
So
massive lists of contacts and separating them and then uploading them again. And then, so it was a lot of fun. It was fun. It taught me a lot about like contact segmentation and how to like manipulate the contacts within a CRM.
So you're in Skill Crush. It sounds, correct me, it sounds like it's a B2C. Probably you're starting some B2B,
Mhm.
trying to get larger deals to send people through or
Yeah.
something of that nature you're doing too. How did you find yourself um, loving HubSpot? Like, so you're using MailChimp in some capacity. Like, how did you find yourself loving HubSpot? And then you talked about this idea of strategy. Like, where at what point we were like, okay, this is where I want to focus on and I want to start looking at sales. How did that
Yeah.
transition occur?
Um, I think the transition came a lot later in which I honestly I think is nice for somebody who's just starting out in HubSpot. Like spending time getting to understand the tool and how it works, I think sets you up a lot better for being able to create a strategy for a client, understand how, okay, how do you function? What is it that you're doing now? What is your sales process? Who are the people involved? What are the different steps? And then let's apply that based on the tools and how we know the deal pipeline functions, the lead scoring functions, the deal automations function. And I think sales is, your opportunity to really include a lot of different types of tool, like a lot of HubSpot tools all within one um, hub in HubSpot. And so that's probably where it just, I took kind of those initial, I guess, dipping my toes in the water with sales and email marketing and just parlayed it into larger and larger pieces within or tools within HubSpot, ultimately getting to that point of really loving the sales process and refining that marketing to sales handoff and understanding how to define your life cycle stages so that everybody understands who's responsible for what at what point, how does that lead actually become, an MQL or an SQL, and making sure that we have the right touch points because there's just so much that you can do along the customer journey or buyer's journey to like create meaningful touch points. And sales is obviously, like, I think we can all say that we've been through a sales process that was just, you wish you'd never been through it. So,
So question, just to dive in, because it sounds like it's clear like you got in deep. What is someone like, hey, I'm starting HubSpot. I'm currently doing Marketing
yeah.
Hub. You're saying Sales Hub's important. Was it in Skill Crush or a different place where you got to like what was your, how did you become more involved in sales? Like what was the, how that process occur? What did you start doing?
Honestly, I don't think that it was later on until I started working at Loan for the first time. Um, and that was when I think I got a little bit more, I got more exposure to kind of like an agency's function or how an agency would apply a sales functions within HubSpot to themselves. And then I think the next time around, I started working for Loan for, um, I had a lot more hands-on client experience in helping different clients develop their sales pipelines and understand, like I said, how they're using them, uh, different opportunities that we have within the tool to help create efficiencies and create more meaningful touch points. And so that's, being able to work across a number of different industries with
Mm-hmm.
the HubSpot sales pipeline teaches you a lot about how the tool can function, but then also be applied in a number of different ways from either a sales team of one to a sales team of 30, 50, 60, 100 plus.
Question. So Jessica, you went from um, Skill Crush to Loan Fur.
Skill Crush, Loan for Good Juju, and then back to Loan for.
Okay, so as we're going through this, I'm just as people. So you started as an end user, like you started a company that was using HubSpot to create revenue.
Yeah.
You were specifically on the marketing side, helping people think through segmentation to come through.
Mhm.
You went to Loanfer, and at that point, you learned the agency. You were a learning agency. Were you helping the agency grow, or were you helping clients management at that point?
The first, kind of my first go with Loan for, I was mostly on the agency ops side of things. So focused a little bit more on kind of internal production. So setting up blogs in HubSpot and pushing them live and, updating contact information and just kind of doing kind of miscellaneous admin within HubSpot. So not a huge focus, but still working within the functions, using the tool on a regular basis and learning about how it works in an agency setting for an internal tool to help grow the agency,
That's cool.
less so on the client side.
Most people don't get that experience. So when I go work for an agency, they're hearing I'm going to do client management.
Mhm.
So you went from Skull Crush then going to Loanfer. You're helping Loanfer scale internally, right? They're bringing
Mhm.
you in, and you're like helping them do
Yeah.
the portion of scaling the business. You go to Good Juju. I'm saying that
Mhm.
correctly.
Yeah.
Are you doing that same function for them?
It was a little bit different. It was more on the client facing side. So we had a couple of clients that were heavily using email marketing. So kind of right within my wheelhouse as what, from what I had come from and what I was used to. And they had CRMs of over 1.5 million. So it was a much larger audience and user base and volume and even greater kind of segmentation, like more purposeful segmentation, a higher volume of emails going out because they were a e-commerce and commerce-based company. They were selling um, called On It. And so they were selling a lot of health and wellness products and then also fitness products as well. So had an like in-person stores, but then also an online store that was pretty massive and had a pretty high volume of sales on a monthly basis.
Okay. You went from now you've gone back and you go back to Loanfer. And this is a cool story. So I'm just like, as people are going through this, it sounds at this point like you're really good at segmentation. I mean, you can sling emails, you can make out the best blogs, you can create, like you are a HubSpot expert getting it. Are you using HubSpot during every one of these jobs at this point, or are you switching? So it's always been HubSpot.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was there was a point with my role at Good Juju where we had a couple of different clients that weren't necessarily exclusively working in HubSpot, and they would actually sometimes use MailChimp in combination with HubSpot, which just reminded me how much better it was to stay in HubSpot. HubSpot has a whole, so that was fun, but mostly large focus on HubSpot.
That's fine. Okay. So now you're going to Loanfer. You're doing client management, and you're director of ops now. So it's just like I was like looking at this. You cut your teeth in emails, getting really good at Marketing Hub, learning about but you're always thinking about sales. You like the strategy. You're making sure. And let's be clear, what's the difference between sales and marketing? Sometimes to do it really well, you're probably just the same thing. But you're doing those. You go to Good Juju. It's even larger. It's e-commerce. Some large stores having different product. Which is what's really cool. E-commerce is very much data oriented, even more so than B2B. In many ways, this new revolution is applying B2C to B2B. Coming back to Loanfer, how did you become director of operations inside Loanfer? And so I'm assuming you're using HubSpot not to just for clients. I mean, you're using it internally to scale the business, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So how did this evolve, and how did you? Besides that, you're just awesome. I was like, there's got to be another. It's got to be like.
I am glad we got that on recording. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. It's made my Friday. For the first number of months working at Loanfer was heavily client management. And even when I made my shift into being director of operations, it was, I still had clients that I managed. And I think it's great, honestly, to kind of be in a little bit more of a leadership level role and to have that touch point with clients, because it gives you such a better understanding of the way of just clients in general and the relationship that your team builds with them, and how to better set up your team, et cetera, et cetera. But most of the clients that we are working with, and even to this day, I mean, I think I pulled this the other day, our client base in HubSpot has just grown year after year, and we primarily focus on those HubSpot audits and onboardings and getting people set up in HubSpot. And I think one thing that has been interesting to see in the shift over the last number of years is a lot of people they would want HubSpot support, a lot of production time, because they just didn't know how to use the tool. But I think now, as we see more and more people adopting HubSpot, we're seeing clients rely less on the HubSpot support side of things and more so rely on HubSpot agencies as a strategist to help them set the strategy for how they use the portal, because they're hiring people to actually work within the portal when that wasn't always the case beforehand, because I don't think people really realize HubSpot kind of as the equivalent of Salesforce and needing a team to work within the tool to help with adoption and to help with process implementation, et cetera, et cetera. So that's been, I think, an interesting shift over the years. And so we've kind of morphed a little bit more into that strategic partner for our clients within HubSpot. But kind of back to your question. Sorry, I digress. Spent a lot of time, just in case.
No, to recap it, because I love
Yeah.
it, is this idea of, I mean, HubSpot went to market for
Mhm.
a decade,
Yeah.
saying we are so easy to use that you don't even need an admin. And the reality today is that's not, I mean, it's true and not true all at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yeah. So fun.
It is easier to use than Salesforce, but to like get the, to leverage it, and it can scale with you. To like, you have
Yeah.
to have someone that's dedicated their entire career. This is why Sprocketeers exist. It's why, I mean, like like you need. It's a truth. It's a statement. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Mhm.
Director of Ops, you're really good at climbing, like you're stepping in, you're in a leadership role, and you're using now HubSpot. You've used it to market, you've used it, now you're running sales process, and you're running
Mhm.
implementation.
Mhm.
How did that make you fall less or more in love with HubSpot? I know the answer, but why did it make you fall more in love with HubSpot?
I mean, part of it is when you use it yourself and you understand how much time it can save you, or how much further it can take some of the campaigns or the organization it can bring to your sales process or to your marketing efforts. And you see your own internal benefit to using the platform. You want to bring that same, I don't know, if you want to call it like peace of mind, or just, I think, adoption and or kind of your client, that like same love to your clients as well, so that they can also experience some of those benefits. And I think that's um, probably the biggest thing, because it can be overwhelming looking at a tool and you're like, I have literally nowhere to start. Like, what do I focus on? What are the things that are most important to me? And that can lead to people saying, I'm good, we'll just do this one thing, and this is the only thing I do inside HubSpot. And so when you can help clients kind of see the benefit based on your own internal use of it and help them expand their adoption and get it as excited about HubSpot as you do, and see it like more than just, maybe one tool that they get kind of tunnel visioned into. I think that's the biggest reward of just like, oh my gosh, we love this tool. It makes things so much easier. We're so excited. Like, we understand what's happening between marketing and sales and customer service and ops. It's just, I think when you can create that relationship, it's really, really freaking cool to see.
I love it. We deliver HubSpot and we eat HubSpot. Some people
Yeah.
call their own dog food. So we have a little bit of time, and I wanted to get in. I'm going to say that, Jessica, what is, okay, so
Mhm.
I'm starting off, I'm either, changing careers. I'm a school teacher, and I've heard about, I have a friend using HubSpot. I want to make a career in HubSpot, or coming out of college and I want to be a HubSpot professional. What are two tips, just this time, what are two tips that you would say, okay, do these two things?
One, take as many certifications as you can. HubSpot, I mean, that's probably what,
Mm.
maybe not 99%, but most people would say they have a fantastic academy where you can take a number of different courses, and they continuously revamp them and create new, more intensive or more, complex courses, and just take as many as you can to kind of help explore maybe different areas or different hubs that you're interested in. Because you can find a little niche within different hubs that you are like, I'm really, really good at this thing, and I can, set you up a knowledge base in 5 seconds flat, and be able to start bringing in customer data that allows you to make better decisions about your product in seconds. Um,
Or
and then
chat flow.
our chat flow.
Chat flow. Okay. Okay. Just okay. Sorry. What's number two?
Number two, I think don't be afraid to try different things, or like start with different roles that allow you to just get more reps, because there are so many different ways. I think everybody knows this about HubSpot. It is a tool that has standard tools. It's a tool. Yeah, that was a double-edged tool that has a lot of different facets to it, a lot of ways that you can use it. Um, the tool never changes, but the way that you use it changes based on who it is that you're working with, who it is that they're selling to, how they're applying it to their internal teams. And so I think as much experience you can get in understanding how the tool is used across different industries, or maybe just like I said, if you're focused on a one little niche within or tool within HubSpot that you really want to get good at, um, take as much experience as you can get, whether it be jumping on Upwork and finding, projects here and there that you can take and get your feet, or is that the right saying? Get your feet wet? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. I struggle with saying sometimes and
Oh, I
usually
agree.
get
I
them
say like
like,
I'll say
yeah,
dive in with your feet first. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure head first. Whatever. I get you.
yeah. Um, Whatever you can do to help kind of grow that experience and grow your exposure to the different ways you can use HubSpot, because I think that's what makes a HubSpot admin super powerful. Um,
Ooh, I like what you did there. Okay. I like it.
and it makes you that much more, that much more of an expert within HubSpot when you can speak to the different ways that you've seen it used and create, that, I guess, personalization, for lack of better terms, within a client or within a company's own HubSpot instance. So those are my two, I think, tips: just exposing yourself to different accreditations and trainings within HubSpot Academy, and then taking as many opportunities as you get to get additional exposure to the way HubSpot is used within different industries and different companies.
Get them certs and get
Yeah.
as many go-to-market motions underneath your belt. And I love it. In your experience, you're looking at it, you've done both end user, where you've
Mhm.
gotten one go-to-market motion like really intimately
Mhm.
with Skill Crush, and then going to agency, you're going to get to see a wide variety that help
Yeah.
you speak strategically as you go through. Jessica, and if you want to look at, and if you want to do that, you come work at Lone Fern, and you might get that exposure. What is if people want to find you, they're like, I want to ask Jessica Crosby more about how she's torn off 4 her ACLs. How are people going to find you? Yes.
You can find me on LinkedIn. I can tell you all the ways not to tear your ACLs. Sports is one of them, just, but yeah, LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn. My email, I think, is on there, or you're welcome to reach out and shoot me a quick direct message, or find us at loanforcreative.com. We have a team of experts and people who are 10 times even smarter than me at HubSpot. So we're a great group of people who probably also bleeds orange. I don't know. Maybe that's really weird. I feel like I'm painting a strange picture to people, and I promise you, my
That's
blood is actually red. But
that's great. We play, yeah. People that love HubSpot, mucho.
yeah,
Well, Jessica, it has been super fun. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for telling your story. I hope it
yeah,
encourages others about the variety of places of how that we have this ecosystem of people
mhm,
that love HubSpot. There's a lot of people in Sprocketeers that can help as a community as you do that. And a lot of people like Jessica, if you just reach out, they will give you help. They will help you and give you answers about HubSpot. That's what's so beautiful about HubSpot.
yeah.
Jessica, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you for exposing all my secrets from my mother.
I'm sure there's more, but you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Stay awesome. Keep doing it big and stay super to everybody. Adios.